Catholic Church, and specifically the Vatican, had a decided influence on the ever-changing society of the 20th century. The Church faced the challenges of an ever-increasingly secular society and social unrest and had to adjust to those changes and challenges. The Industrial Revolution had left behind social instability and terrible living and working conditions. These issues had given rise to socialism, and Pope Leo XIII felt the need to issue an encyclical in 1891, in which he states that the free operation of market forces must be tempered by moral considerations. The teaching that God was on the side of the poor was first coined in this document. 40 years later, Pope Pius XI expanded on the 1891 encyclical to cover the dangers to human freedom and dignity from unrestrained capitalism and totalitarian communism. He was faced with rising communism in Eastern Europe, the Great Depression, and the rise of Mussolini's regime in Italy. Pope Pius XII, also known as the Pope of Technology, examined the social implications of technological advances and was concerned about human rights and dignity. In 1937, authoritarianism in the form of Hitler's Nazi Germany would have reared its ugly head. Pope Pius XI gave the first official renunciation of the Nazi regime, where he stated that anti-Semitism is incompatible with Christianity and that Hitler was an insane and arrogant prophet. Germany retaliated by prosecuting monks for homosexuality and deporting and murdering over 2,500 clergy members. Pope Pius XII continued to speak out against crimes against the European Jewish populations and the handicapped population. There has been some controversy stating that he had not spoken nor done enough to help with the disenfranchised during the war. In all, the Church was instrumental in saving approximately 800,000 Jews from the Nazis. In 2000, Pope John Paul II apologized for the atrocities perpetrated against the Jews during the Holocaust. From 1962 to 1965, Vatican II was held to address the changes that were necessary to bring the Catholic Church into the modern era. Pope John XXIII stated that it was time to open the windows of the Church and let in some fresh air. He invited Christians from other denominations to come and observe the proceedings. Vatican II had four main purposes. 1. To define more fully the nature of the Church and the role of the bishop. 2. To renew the Church. 3. To restore unity among all Christians, including seeking pardon for Catholic contributions to separation. And 4. To start a dialogue with the contemporary world. Many changes were instituted, including to many rites of the Church. The late 1960s brought about the sexual revolution, and societal changes brought about Pope Paul VI's response in Humanae Vitae in 1968. The Church continued to condemn the use of contraception, promoting natural family planning instead. There was also the issue of women wanting to be ordained, but the Church only extends ordination to men in order to follow the example of Jesus. He had only chosen men to fill those roles during his ministries. However, it was stated that the role of women in the Church was equally as important as the work of men. After Vatican II, the Catholic Church stopped referring to other denominations and religions as heretic. This was done in the spirit of cooperation and unity. This also worked toward repairing the relationship with the Eastern Orthodox churches. One of the great impacts on society were the diplomatic relations between the Holy See and the Soviet Union. After World War I and the Russian Revolution, the government of the USSR rejected all forms of religion and began to persecute Catholics and other Christians. Under Pope Pius XI, negotiations began with the Soviet government to ease the religious restrictions and to send aid to those affected. As Poland and the Baltic states were incorporated into the Soviet Union, the persecutions ramped up. Many Catholics and Eastern Orthodox Christians joined the Russian Orthodox Church to stop the persecutions. The Church was also instrumental in trying to improve relations between the Soviet Union and the United States. Pope John Paul II, who had lived under both the Nazi and Soviet governments, was adamantly opposed to both fascism and communism and espoused religious freedom. He visited Poland in 1979, raising the morale of the Polish people and stoking anti-communism fervor. The Pope met with Mikhail Gorbachev in 1989, establishing diplomatic ties and getting an agreement to allow more religious freedom. Working with such leaders as President Ronald Reagan, their actions hastened the end of the Cold War and the Eastern European fall of communism. There are many people who toiled and suffered and even died trying to get their religious freedoms. All of the lives lost and harmed during the turbulent 20th century are those who suffered the pain of progress.
I have a dream today. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win, and the others too.